Now, Canada, you don't pay as much attention to Canada in here. Is that because you just felt that was a whole other book?
No.
Because we aren't quite there yet, as you had mentioned earlier off camera, that...
a lot of people
might take...
Alberta was upset with me because I didn't visit. I have been to Alberta and I've eaten a lot of beef there. They finish their beef on barley instead of corn. Mm-hmm. For the most part, a feedlot Alberta steak doesn't taste a whole lot different from a feedlot Texas steak, despite the fact they're using barley rather than corn. Because they're just putting starch into the animal, just trying to get fat. I'm sure there are people doing interesting things there. I haven't found them yet. A lot of the time these will be family farms where you've got to buy a quarter of a cow or a side.
Right.
They're not shipping to Ontario. In some cases, I just don't even know about them. So I think there's huge potential for the prairies, Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba.
Isn't that exciting, though? That we haven't hit potential
yet.
It's not that we've hit potential and are falling back and are getting sloppy.
No, it's massively exciting.
It's really good that we're... So maybe this will help. Tell me about, though, you raised your own.
I did.
And you named it.
I did.
You named it.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cardinal rule. You don't name those.
That's what they say.
You're going to slaughter. But
I did it for two reasons. The first was I noticed that the world's kind of binary. You either fatten on grain or you fatten on grass. And I thought, well, isn't there something else? For example, carrots or apples. Mm-hmm. So that was my plan. I know that people will fatten pigs on things like acorns and apples. And I thought, well, I can do the same with a cow. So I bought a very rare breed. It's called a Canadienne. It's a dairy breed from Quebec, about 400 years old, indigenous to Canada. It's our own thing. This was a heifer that couldn't get pregnant, so the milking barn didn't have much use for her. And I fattened her on grass, but I gave her daily treats of apples and carrots, and then later on, as fall arrived, she got acorns, and then she got Persian walnuts once the acorns ran out.
And how old was she when you slaughtered her?
I think she was probably about 4 years old.
See, and they slaughter them so young now, a lot of times.
Yes, that's part of the problem.
Yeah, it is,
well,
isn't it?
A lot of the beef, the beef you see for sale in the supermarket is more like veal than it is like beef. I mean, it's even that kind of light red color.
Yeah, it's not even that really nice.
It's got to be a deep red. So a lot of the beef we eat, I would call mature veal. Mm. So yeah, she was real beef by the time, I was finished with her.
Literally.
And I thought it was going to be this big crisis. I'm the kind of guy, I remember once growing up at the cottage, my dad shot a porcupine because we were worried the dog was going to chase it. Well, the dog tried to chase it. It was a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah.
And I cried literally for an entire day. So I thought I was going to have a real problem. Yeah. I was very worried. And I liked this cow. I spent a lot of time with her. I would spend time in the fields with her, watching her graze. She got used to me. Yeah. I would pat her. I would, feed her treats. And yet I found that it was not nearly as difficult as I thought.
What about when you took that first bite of the beef? No?
I was thrilled because it was delicious. It made me feel good. It was all worth it.
Exactly.
She had a good life and she had a good death. She did suffer. She never knew it was coming. She walked into a room one day and the lights went out. And I think that's a pretty good way to go.
And you talk about, which I think a lot of the discussion about beef and that, they don't talk about the slaughtering. I mean, they are talking about it a little bit more now, but I mean, that is so much part of it. And I know some of the chefs talk about the slaughterhouses they like to use where they go around in a circle. They're not just going in straight lines, and they're painted,
cattle like circles,
circles to calm them down and things like that. So,
yes.
That's been more of a discussion now, and I think
it is, and that's very important. Handling on the day of slaughter has a huge impact on the quality of beef, but so does the humane conditions or lack of as they're being raised. And everyone thinks death is the nasty part of raising animals, but so often it's everything before that. The slaughterhouses honestly are pretty well run. I mean, you will find exceptions, but
what do you find? What's your favorite cut, though? I mean, that's always a big discussion. We alluded that to at the very beginning. So, do you get?
I'll say this: there's a lot of trendy cuts right now. Everyone loves to talk about hanger steaks. They love to talk about skirt steaks. There's all these kind of unusual butcher's cuts, and they're great. I love them. They're good, but I think the best cut is the ribeye.
The ribeye.
And it's not me. I mean, I visited steak lovers the world over, and everybody keeps coming back to the ribeye. It seems to be unanimous, nearly unanimous. So.
But are people always, do you go to parties now or whatever, or just you go to people's houses, especially coming up to barbecue season? I mean, you're going to just get into it. Mine's better than yours. This is great. Why is this?
Totally. In fact...
And do you get sick of that?
Well, what I get sick of are closed-minded people, and a lot of men believe that they are kind of grilling champions.
I mean, women can't... Can I just say, though, for the female, we know how to barbecue. We choose to let the men do it.
Yes. Perhaps wisely.
Yeah.
I think the important thing always with food is to be open-minded. I mean, have I found the perfect steak? No, because I'm always going to be looking for different steaks, for new steaks. So some people have said, I don't care where you went, there's no way your steak is as good as what I'm getting at my butcher.
Yeah.
And I just think, all right, well,
And never mind restaurants too.
Never mind
I mean, you
restaurants,
must get asked, well, where am I? I'm going to such and such a city. Where am I going to eat for the best steak? Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
or people always
oh,
say, well, what's better, this steakhouse
Yeah.
chain or this steakhouse chain? I think, well,
have
they
your
all
steak
use
at home. Yeah.
they always
Go
use the
to
same
say-
beef,
yeah.
so it's the same.
But I was thrilled though when you did say, because I grew up in Scotland, that you thought one of the best steaks you had was in Scotland.
It
And
was.
I thought, yay! I was
Yeah.
so excited about that.
But it wasn't the Angus steak. That
No,
won.
it wasn't.
I mean, I had some Angus beef that was excellent.
Yep.
And I'm not going to say anything bad about Angus. It's a wonderful breed. But I had there's a furry critter up there called a Highland. And it looks like it just walked in off the ice age. It's got these
Like
gigantic,
big horns, yeah.
huge horns,
That's what we all associate.
shaggy
yeah.
coat.
And
You
the
see them
Highlands
sometimes at
style.
circuses because they're just so funny looking.
Yeah.
And I had a steak off one of those that was, I mean, mind-blowingly good.
Do most of the people you go? That's just our local fire. The men in red. Or
It's
the
probably
men in blue.
a grilling accident.
It's probably grill. That's right. Probably somebody's barbecue's on fire. But do you find though that when you went to all these different places, do the farmers, the people involved or looking after the cattle, do they actually cook? Do they actually like a good steak? I mean, do they
Yes, some of
actually
them
eat what they?
definitely.
But some people don't eat what they grow.
Well, no,
and don't eat.
well, you go, for example, you talk to feedlot people who you have 50,000 head of cattle on
Yeah.
feed, and you say, well, what are your steaks like? And they say, well, I don't know. I just buy
'Cause
them
they
at the
don't-
supermarket
yeah.
because it's the same as everyone else's.
Because they ship them away.
What's the point? Because they
Yeah.
ship them away. But no, a lot of people I found one's raising good steak, love beef, and
Yeah.
they eat their own stuff and they love it.
Oh,
so
that's good. Because that was one thing I thought that came through really well in the book too, was the fact that you talk about the importance of family around the table and about how your father loved to, a good steak and his quest for it, and then yours, now your own children, seeing you raising Florence and probably another cow I'm sure you have
Yeah,
for
there's
the
more.
fall. There's more,
There's-
exactly.
there's
You've
reinforcement.
started, you've unleashed on many of them. But I mean, I thought that was really important that you talk about that too, about being around the table and family so important to that.
Well, food is a communal experience. I
Yeah.
mean, it's rare that we eat alone and it's no fun.
Yeah.
So that's part of it, definitely.
Yeah. No, well, I think this is terrific. Everybody should read it because it will open your eyes in a way that I think, and realize what goes into raising a good cow. Now, I don't know if the bylaws are going to change where we're allowed to raise cows, but that would be great in the backyard to go along with the chickens and
It would, but you're going to need a big yard.
You're going to need a big yard and a lot of grazing and a lot of clover and a lot of grass.
In fact, some people will call a yard that big a farm, but I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Excellent.